Hi, I'm Steve. Welcome back to the Maker's Cave. And today we're going to continue with our Eaglemoss Enterprise 1701D build. This will be issue 3, which includes kits 7, 8, 9, and 10. It looks like 7 is going to be, we're going to do some work on the Cobra neck there. We have some framework to do that goes underneath the saucer section to support it. Looks like we have another piece of frame and some lights to do with some electrical wire. More electrical wire in kit 10 and more windows. And looks like there's some support pieces here for the frame. Also included with this issue 3 was the gift of the screw container or screw holder. This looks like any typical compartmentalized container. This was nice of them to include, but one of the things that I don't like is it's hard to label it. I mean, to see what screw it is. You know, if you've been watching the builds, all my builds, I use a custom one that I make. It has little jewelry or cosmetic cases, and I can actually label and see real easily what the different screws are that are in here. As nice as this is, I think I'm going to continue along using this. And if the screws get more than what goes in here, maybe I'll consider using this, but that's the only drawback. I wish they had a way of easily labeling what the screws are so you could see them, other than using a Sharpie and writing down into the plastic, which is not that easy. All right, so I'm going to take the screws out, put them in my holder, and my holder. I'm going to take the screws out, put them in my holder. Voice is cracking.
It's time to change.
And then we'll start assembling. Start off with stage 7, and has us taking the Cobra neck that we got in this stage, and it wants us to take part 07F and put it right in there. And along with this, they also gave us 2 small springs, which I'll take out right now. Two very small springs, and they fit right on the posts of that part we just put in there. Now I have a funny feeling that since we're doing this, this might be a switch to turn some of the lights on and off. That's why there's a spring there. I could be wrong. All right. And then finally wants to take us the cover that we also got in this stage, and we put it on here. And they get held on with 2 AP screws. Now, one thing I did find unusual is this Cobra neck is made of plastic. I thought it would be metal. Okay, so that's in there. So we'll put that aside. All right, next instruction, stage 7, is we need to recall a piece from our previous build from stage 6. You'll remember we did this where we put in part of the frame and these 2 supports. And now it wants us to do the same thing. In stage 7 we have 2 supports that came in a kit, and it wants us to do pretty much the same thing up here. And they get held in with some BM screws. Turn this back around like this, and it goes right in here. Smaller one. Okay, got some more framework done. Move on to the next step, and that is it for stage 7. We're going to move on to stage 8. Put this aside. All right, stage 7, or I'm sorry, stage 8. All right, we bring this back and the cobra neck, and we have another one of these parts just like before. Put this in here. And we have 2 more springs. And they get held in with AP screws. So we'll get 2 more AP screws out. Put the springs over the posts. Get the plate. Get that plate cover. All right, these are the phaser banks. I thought they were going to be switches, but I don't think they are. They're just spring-loaded for some reason. I have no idea why. And the next part in stage 8. All right, take the skeletal assembly you last used. That was this one right here. And then insert the 2 screw. Okay, so now we're going to, stage 8 came with this framework right here. So now we are going to put this together. Oh wow, getting bigger. And they get held on with some BM screws. So those are screwed in. Wow, frame's getting big in comparison. All right, so the next step is stage 9. And it looks like we're continuing with the theme. So we're bringing this back. And stage 9 came with this frame assembly here. And it looks like we are putting it on right here. If I turn it the right way. There we go. And looks like I need 4 more BM screws. Okay, that's done. So we'll put this back over here again. The next step in stage 9. Oh boy, lights. Let me put the lid on the... Okay, so they want us to bring back the cobra neck. And stage 9 came with some lights, both windows, clear and blacked out. And again, you can put these in any order you want, but I'm just going to go with what they say right here in the book. Now, the plate on here is labeled left, and this one over here is labeled R for right. And I'm looking at these windows on here, and there's L's placed over here. And there's L's over here. So I guess these are only for over here. I don't know what the difference would be, but okay. So let's put some windows in. I think we're gonna need some tweezers for this. Okay, so we're gonna go and put all these in here, and then we'll be back. All the windows are in. And I can see now what people are talking about on the build Facebook sites about light leaks. I can tell right away that the way these blacked out windows are sitting, there are going to be some light leaks on there. And there have been a lot of talk about what's the best method, liquid electrical tape, which personally I feel is just a mess to use. But one of my viewers of the last video, 3, 4, 5, and 6, said they were using Tulip Slick fabric paint, completely black. And I said, oh, all right, that's kind of unique. Now, what's nice about it is it has a real small tip. So I think I'm going to use that. I'm going to attempt to use that around these black windows. I would think it would also help to hold them in. I don't know if I particularly care for this method. Does seem to be holding them in there, but I think it's taking a little bit of effort as well. Okay, they are on there. I'm going to all held in with that. With this is actually, I don't know if I told you before, this is actually fabric paint. So it's kind of thick. See, it holds it in there. Alright, so those are in there, that's done. I'll put this aside. And go on to the next step. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do that came in stage 9 was obviously a backer plate that goes over top of these lights. And before we can do that, we need to put in some wiring. So here's some 2 LEDs here. Okay, I've got the 2 wires in it, but they don't seem to want to stay where they need to be. You have to take this one and you have to bend the leads at a 90 degree to get it in where it's got to go. Let me put it on the gooseneck, or on the cobra neck gooseneck. I hate using super glue. Despite how much I use it, I really do, but I'm beginning to think that I don't know how else to get this to stay in here. So because we have to take this next. It has to go over what we just did right here. Alright, I'm going to use a very, very small amount of super glue. I'm going to put some super glue into here because what I'm just going to put a small dab, and I'm going to do that with a detail brush. So I'm going to take one of our detail brushes. A very small amount. I want to do the same thing for over here. Okay, so they're both in there now. So what it wants to do is wants us to take this, and on this yellow lead, it wants us to bend this at a 90-degree angle, and I'll show you why in a second. Because it has to go to the very edge over here of the hole. of the hole. Okay, so they're now in there. Okay. The way they're supposed to be. And they get held on with some BP screws. Now it's not sitting completely flush. I don't know why. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to unscrew this. Find out why. Well, for one, it's a hot mess from where I tried to fix the light leaks. So we need to take all these pieces off. And I'm going to have to clean this off. First, I'm going to clean my hands off of all the black. Next, I want to take this piece, get all this off. So that's cleaned up. I also noticed on the Cobra neck, I'll get that later, there was a little bit of a black spot on the other side here. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to put these windows back in. Okay, so we're going to put all these back in here and we'll come back. Here's where we're at with those windows. The fabric paint that was suggested to cut out the light leaks, that turned into a big old mess. So I took all the windows out, I cleaned everything up, I put the windows back in, I super glued and made sure that the LED lights were all in. And now we are going to put this backing plate onto the windows. That gets done with BP screws. I'm going to put this on here. And hopefully this goes a lot better than last time. But patience will get you through. What I'm checking for right here is to make sure all the windows went in. And it looks like they did. So I'm going to take the BP screw. Flipping it over to make sure all the windows stayed in, and they did. So I think I'm safe now to put the other screws in. Okay, so I'm going to do the hand model thing. Okay, so the first thing I did is I did super glue the LEDs into place to make it easier to put this plate on. As far as the windows placing, you just have to be patient. Put them in there, and then place this plate over and screw it in, keeping constant pressure all the way along so all the windows stay recessed in their little holes, which I'm checking again, and they all did. Okay, so the Cobra neck is done with putting these left-sided lights on, and I'm going to do the hand model thing here so it'll focus. Okay, the one thing that I did, first thing I did was I did super glue each LED into here so it would stop falling out of this backing plate to make it easier. This lead here, the yellow and black one, has to be bent at a 90 degree to the plate, so make sure the LED's all the way in there, and that's so it can fit against this lip here. Now as far as the lights that are under here, And I'll show you on the other side. Those are little holes they all fit into. It's a complete mirror over here. You just have to be patient. I use some tweezers. I drop them in there. And then the 4 screws go in there to hold the plate on there. And you got to keep constant pressure on here when you're putting these screws in here. So the lights, there we go. So the lights will fit in the recess of the holes. So the Cobra neck, the left side of the lights is done. So now we will move to stage 10, which is right here. And that looks like we're going to be doing some more framework, which is pretty cool. It gives me a break from these lights. So retrieve the skeletal assembly from stage 9. We got that here, okay. And this looks like it could be fairly simple, I think maybe. So we are putting more framework together. Okay, and they get held in with some BM screws. So this lives right here. I'm going to flip this over so it's easier for me to put in. We have our BM screw, lubricate it, and we just simply put it in. Okay, stage 10 also comes with this little narrow piece. So now it wants us to put that in right here. So again, I will flip this over to make it easier. And again, some BM screws. Okay, that's all done. So, more of the frame is done. Put this aside. The next part is what I was afraid of. We're going to put the lights in on this side. So again, there's the recesses for the lights. They gave us some more lights right here. I'm going to follow the pattern that's on here. So let's put them in. I'm using my flush cutters on these. Last time I just twisted them out, but that left a lot of spurs on the end. So I think this time I will use the flush cutters to keep the ends as flat as possible so they fit into those recesses. Now when you cut one side, that's fine, but when you turn around and cut out the other side, you want to make sure you want to hold the piece, because as you cut it, it could fly out. And from my count, I don't think they give you that many extras. So you definitely don't want these to hit the floor and get sucked up by the vacuum. I can see already by doing that these parts came off cleaner. So now we will do the same thing with the clear windows. Now as I'm doing this, I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. You should always have, when you're doing model work, a good flush cutters. Okay, they're all out. So what we're going to do now is, using the pattern they have here, I'm going to put these windows into here. I won't make you guys suffer through that, and we'll come back when they're all in. Okay, all the windows are in. Now there's two things that I found that made this easier. And I don't know if you'll be able to see, but each one of these windows has it, like on this side, which is the right side, has an R on it. So when you place those in the windows, you can read the R. You know, it's not upside down. Well, they seem to fit better. And of course, using the flush cutters, which is nothing should really be new to me. I was trying to take a shortcut, and I shouldn't have. Getting as close as you can to these pieces of these windows definitely helped. There's a couple extras. I want to put them in there. Okay, so now all the windows are in there. And I'm pretty sure what we're going to move to next is another one of these. A backing plate, which is going to go on here with some LED. I want to carefully move this to the side. Now, I'm not even going to play around with this one. I'm going to, again, I look, guys, I know I'm going to get beat up in my comments about super gluing these in here, but I don't want to fight this putting them in here because I know it's not going to stay. They want it to go here. They want this blue one. They want the red and blue to go in here. And although they seem like they're going to stay, they really don't. So I'm just going to start off right off the bat with just putting some super glue in here to hold these in place. Now, I don't know if my super glue is... Looks like it's still fairly moist. I might have some working time on this. Hold this in there for a couple minutes. I let go just to make sure my fingers don't get super glued to it. So again, and when you do this, if you choose to do this, you want to put this on with a toothpick or a detail brush like I'm doing. You don't want to squeeze the super glue bottle in there. Like I said, I know I'm going to get beat up in the comments for doing this, but you know, for me, it's what makes it easy. Your mileage may vary. It's your model. Do with it as you please. Hold that in there until it takes hold. Now, while this is drying, let's go back and revisit light leaks. You know, I tried to use the fabric paint, which was actually a good idea, but I think these windows were just too small for it. I don't know what kind of light leaks I'm going to have with this. The immense size of this model, how much fun we're having building it. If there's some light leaks, you know what? I think I'm just going to live with it. You know, I've got to learn to live with, you know, some imperfection here. All right, we're going to let this sit for a couple minutes because this is the lead that you have to bend in order to get it to fit into the Cobra neck, like we did with the other one. So I want to make sure that this has a good chance to bond, so when we bend this, it doesn't pop out. So we'll be back. Okay, we're back. It's had a chance to dry, and now we are going to place it on here. And of course, it gets held in with some BP screws. Now we want to put this on here. We don't want to disturb the windows. I'm lifting it up just a tad. Okay, the first thing I realized is putting this in here. This LED, I'm going to bend this up, these leads up, because it's keeping it from setting into place. All right, I'm going to keep some constant pressure on here. I'm going to turn this over real quick to make sure that all the windows seated. They did. I'm moving it over, keeping pressure here. So I'm going to take the BP screw, okay, so that plate's on there. Both plates are on there. All the windows are in there. We are doing good. Okay, so again, move some of the tools out of the way. We did that for stage 10, and that is it for stage 10. All right, so I guess we're going to summarize here real quick. Put the book away. Basically, we didn't do much today. It was simple. We had to be careful with the windows, but what we did is we did a lot more framework. I guess that would be maybe about, what, 1/3 maybe of the framework? I don't know. It's not quite half. And we put in the phaser bank arrays right there. I think that's what they were calling them. And we also did some more lighting along here with the backing plates with the with wiring. So I guess that's it till our next delivery. And here ends issue 3, stages 7, 8, 9, and 10 of the Eaglemoss Enterprise 1701D build. We did some framework, some work on the Cobra neck, with some lighting and all, and windows, and that was kind of fun. We're starting to see the scale of how big this thing's really going to be. I hope you found this video helpful. I'll put a link below to any of the tools and supplies that I used during the build. And if you did find it helpful, be sure to hit the like button. And if you want to see more of what we're doing, or specifically me, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when new videos come out, be sure to hit the bell. So that's it. Until the next build, thanks for stopping by the Maker's Cave. I'm Steve.